You ready, Jimbo?
I'm ready. Always ready.
Old stories like long lost friends, rodeos and late night bends, history before our time, round pens and pasture rides, Cowboys of the Osage.
Woo! Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Cowboys of the Osage podcast, brought to you by the Ben Johnson Cowboy Museum, located in historic downtown Pawhuska, Oklahoma. When I heard that song a while ago, Jimbo, when he says late night bins, I've had a few of those things.
I'm sure you have.
Yeah,
I've heard
holy
stories.
moly. Yeah, that brought back a few memories. Well, anyway, it's old Cody here. And as always, I got my co-host with me, Mr. Rodeo historian himself, Jimbo Snively. Hey, Jimbo, good to see you. Who do we have today?
Hey, Cody boy, it's another great day in Osage, man. And Cody, we're going all the way up to the Cowboy State, Wyoming, by the magic of Zoom. And we're talking to Troy Tillard. Troy is a 5-time national finalist. He won Cheyenne in his home state. Now, what a thrill that had to have been.
Oh, yeah, had to be.
And he comes from a great cowboy family. His grandfather, Bud, was a national finalist back in the 60s, a steer roper, cav rope too. And his brother TK, dad Tim, 2 cousins. I mean, they're just a ropey bunch, great cowboys. And we're just really pleased to talk to Troy. Troy, welcome to the Cowboys of the Osage podcast.
Hi, guys. I'm glad to be here. I really appreciate the invite.
We're glad to have you.
Oh, for sure. It was like linking up with the space station or a space shuttle to get all this stuff to work from Oklahoma to Wyoming, but somehow
I don't understand how
the satellites and stuff linked up and the technologies worked, and somebody Googled it, and I'll be danged, Jimbo, it's all working for right now.
I know.
Troy, good to see you, man.
You too, Cody. I like the new up there. Pretty sharp.
It's a antelope buckskin with fringe and bear hide collar.
Probably Wyoming antelope.
Yeah, good Wyoming antelope. Smoke tanned. It was smoke tanned. I was wearing it around, so I thought, well, heck, I'll just wear it on the podcast today. So
I like it.
Thank you, man.
Troy, let's start from the beginning. How did your family come to settle in Wyoming? That's tough country. It takes a real man to want to settle up there.
Yeah, that's a interesting story. I'll do my best job to tell you. My family originally lived out in Hermiston, Oregon in the early 1900s, and they raised sheep out there. And the cattlemen came in and killed all their sheep over a pretty short period of time. And they loaded up and headed back and ended up in Billings, Montana for a year or two, and then came down here to Douglas and then homesteaded out here 30 miles north and in 1915, and we've been here ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's I've been up in there a little bit, and there's not a whole lot up there, but at least when I was there a few years ago, it was pretty boring country. Between Douglas and Gillette, there's not much.
No, they're in just some tough old ranchers.
Yeah. Are you guys sheep men?
Yeah. Yes, we raise sheep and cattle.
Cool.
But yeah, the family's always been in the sheep business.
Yeah. What's the rub? You always see the old westerns. There's always a rub between the sheep men and the cattle men. What's that all about?
I'm sure it was just over grass, for forever. I don't, of course, I live in sheep country, and most everybody around here raises sheep and cattle. We all get along now.
Right. No killings or anything now. That's good.
Yeah. But I'm sure it was just over grass,
Right.
How do you guys winter your livestock up there, Troy?
Well, so we will get some big snowstorms, but we get a lot of wind. Our country will blow open pretty quick. So we don't feed a lot of hay or anything. We cake everything. We run cake trucks around, and everybody gets their protein that way. Right there. Oh, right before we start calving, we'll start feeding those cows, and the sheep just stay on the cake.
How do you keep the predators off the sheep?
See, that's tough. It's full time year round. The county's got a program. We'll have they'll have a helicopter, airplanes out there. Me and my brother, my cousins, we all trap, hunt coyotes.
Right.
Pretty much year round.
Right. There aren't any wolves up there, are there?
Well, no, but I've never seen one, but I think it's about 3 miles from our property here. Oh, maybe 2 years ago, there was a yearling wolf out there, but they're not supposed to be. But yeah, which just seems like predators just keep getting worse.
Yeah.
Lots of.
Well, the furs, the hides and stuff aren't worth a lot anymore, and they're not as many people trap. I don't think as they used to.
Yeah, I think I read something the other day. Them coyote furs are worth $9 or something.
Yeah.
So
Nobody
worth no time.
Yeah.
What about bear? Do y'all have any bear up there?
Well, no, we don't. But here last summer, my brother was out there doing something, going through the sheep, and seen a little black bear running across there. He's got a great video of it, but I've never seen a bear yet. So I don't know. They're starting to show up, I guess.
Well, you saw a bear and you saw a wolf, so it's just a matter of time. Sounds like.
Well, and 2 weeks ago, I was driving out through there and seen 2 big horned sheep, and there's no horned sheep around here. So I don't know. It's been weird.
That's antelope country up there, isn't it?
That's antelope. Yep. Yeah, we got some elk over here on the ranch that Heidi and I are on, and then the rest of it, it's antelope and mule deer.
One time I was gonna go stay the night at his house, passing through Jimbo, and he said, "Ooh, it rained pretty good the last couple days. My driveway's 48 miles long. Wow. I'm not sure you can make it down it."
Wow.
It was close. It was 23 miles long, and
okay.
You probably couldn't have. But I think it was that same time that Rook come in, and we beat the rain, and we no more than put his horses up, and he said. And the rain came. Here it came. It got muddy. I said, "You have to wait till tomorrow." And I went to the house, and then pretty soon I see his truck leaving. And then the next day or wherever we were going, that old truck was just off the road, one side or the other, the whole way out. But he made it.
Now, does the county maintain that, or is it all up to you?
No, the county does that one. The road into my dad's house, we maintain that, or he does. And there's one the county maintains, and thank God they've come in and put some gravel on it. It's a little better now.
Yeah. Well, I have about 1.5 miles of driveway, and sometimes that's a lot. Seems like I can't imagine 23 miles.
That does seem like a lot.
Wow.
It's a ways back.
40-something mile round trip. That's what
the way my wife runs back and forth to town, that'd be a lot of miles on her car.
Do you make your kids walk to the end of the driveway to catch the bus?
The first year or two, Heidi would drive them to town, drove Ryder to town to kindergarten and back. And then that didn't work very good. And now we got a little place here on the edge of town, so we can have a place to stay through the week. And I'll bounce back and forth.
Well, when did your grandfather, was he the first roper in the bunch, or?
Yep. He was.
What got him started?
Best I know, just ranching. He worked hard from a young age, and they ranched out there, and he got into roping calves. And about anything he could do on a horse. He'd come to town. I bet he had a dozen silver plates. He'd come in and win here in Douglas. Must have won it quite a bit, for the horse, all around horse deal. They'd rein and run barrels and rope calves, and I don't know what all they did on them, but they were pretty good stories, and he had some good horses that way.
Yeah.
Yep. Then I'm not exactly sure how he got started roping calves, but he did, and he roped them for a long time. He loved roping calves.
Yeah. When did he get started roping steers?
I think he was around 40 years old when he got to roping steers.
I know he made the finals there in the late 60s, I believe.
Yep. I think he qualified for him twice, and he went once. I think it was 69. Maybe he went, and the other year he had his shipping dates for his lambs, I think, and he didn't go. So
right. Who influenced his roping? His steer roping. You think who helped him get started?
that'd be a better question for my dad, but I know he roped a lot with Jimmy Moore and Doc Baker and Bob Eisenberger.
Yeah.
Probably, I'm sure I'm missing.
Yeah. You know, Bob Moore, Cody, was a old time steer roper, Jim's dad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he roped back in my grandpa's day. I think he was even a little older than my grandpa. But,
Yeah, I'd actually seen no Dr.
Yeah.
Jim Baker wrote before.
right, right.
Yeah.
Troy, did you ever know a guy up there? He might have been before your time. You might not be old enough, but I'm sure your dad and grandpa knew him by the name of Carl Sawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did, Carl. In fact, I remember, I think it was when we drove into Torrington. He had that nice place on the left-hand side of the road there. Real
He had
pretty.
a trucking company, and
Yeah.
steer roper. He won Pendleton one time and made the finals once or twice. And he was a real good friend of our family. And in fact, he entered my Uncle Joe for 6 or 8 years there.
Did he really? Yeah.
Yeah. Furnished his horse and entered him. And he was just a really super nice guy.
I was a really young then, but yeah, I remember him and yeah, I don't remember much, but I remember of him.
Right.
You guys have been on that ranch for well over 100 years. How much old ranch equipment do you guys got piled up there? I can only imagine, because at our little old ranch down in McAllister, there was, I got all in right here in Pahusky even. I mean, I got piles and piles of stuff, and I've only been here 10 years.
Yeah, we got a big designated area down there out of the way that it's, there's old tractors and balers. And, when I was a kid, we used to still put up some hay, and that equipment was old then. So, that stuff's old. Yeah.
What about those sheep wagons? Do y'all still use them?
No, we don't, but that was a hobby of my granddad's. He would restore those, and that was what he did in the winter. In the afternoons, he'd restore sheep wagons, and he's got he finally built a wagon barn, and it's really neat. If you ever get up here, you walk through that, and there's probably 15 wagons and a couple chuck wagons, and mostly sheep wagons that he redid all authentic. He would drive all over to find wagon wheels, and then he would, he'd rebuild them. It was neat.
What is a sheep wagon necessarily?
Well, just kind of a wood box on 4 wood wheels, and it's got a bed in there and a great big wood burning stove. And those guys, they'd live in them. Grandpa said they'd live in them for, all winter, 3 or 4 months, and then when they got payday, they'd disappear and go to the bar, and then when they ran out of money, they'd show back up.
Do you have any of those old time sheep herders monuments up there with rocks? You know what I'm talking about?
They're everywhere. I guess I take them for granted, but you'll see them all the time out and around.
I was hunting up in Idaho one time, and they were up there, and I couldn't figure out what they were, but they just stacked rocks, and sometimes they'll go way high, Cody. And I asked somebody what they were, a local, and he said they were sheep herder monuments or whatever. And I said, what are they for? Or why did they build them? He said, probably just boredom more than anything.
Probably boredom. They
Yeah.
said just for landmarks and stuff.
Right. But
surely
they're all sheep
country.
cut.
I would have thought aliens put them there or something.
Yeah, they're weird looking. Out in the middle of nowhere, there'll be these rocks just stacked up.
Yeah.
You ever
Big
see
old
aliens out there?
Hadn't seen any aliens. No.
Probably too tough of country for them. Too cold.
Well, if you see one anywhere, you probably see one out there,
It's too cold, too windy, I think, for them.
Speaking of cold and windy, you must have a pretty short roping season up there, don't you? I mean, when do y'all start practicing in the spring?
Well, generally we'll start, we'll cast and start roping steers in the first 10 days of May. And used to be you'd rope till Don King days, which is the 1st of September, and then that'd be about it. Now it seems like we'll rope a little later in the year, and there's some barns around here that I try to rent that barn and rope twice a week usually. I mean, I just got my hip replaced, so I'm not doing that this winter, but normally I do that. So
We're renting the barn.
When did you
Heidi's going to be renting that barn all winter.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
yeah, she is right. fact, I limped down there and watched her yesterday. But
I guess you always wanted to be a roper. Is that right?
yeah, we grew up. We were out there in the middle of nowhere, and we'd work all morning and every day. Dad would go to the practice pen, and my uncle and all us kids wouldn't.
Right.
We breakaway steers when we were little. That's just what we did. We breakaway steers, and I tripped a steer before I ever team roped a steer. So,
Yeah.
and we just didn't do that. It's always, and then I guess, got a little bit older into junior high and started tying calves down. But it was, steer roping was always where my heart was. That's all I knew, really.
Right.
All I wanted to do.
There's quite a few good ropers that came from
That's just
Wyoming.
Yeah.
Two in particular. When I think of Wyoming steer ropers, maybe three. I think of Troy Tillard, but the entire Tillard family.
Right,
When I think
right.
about it, I think about Harold Bumgardner for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he's from Wyoming, but
Yeah.
I think about him when I think about Wyoming.
Yeah. How could you not think of Harold,
What about Nick Harris and Bobby Harris?
Oh my gosh. Bobby's top
Yeah.
5 roper of
Yeah.
all time. I'm talking about Glenn Barlow, though. I'm talking about a guy that's he used to be one of the best ropers, I think.
Yeah.
Period.
Oh, without a doubt. I agree. When I was in high school, my dad loaded me up and started taking me around to those WSRA ropings, and I roped against all those guys. But Glenn was hard to beat, but just such a great guy. He helped me a lot when I was young, and I always loved watching Glenn. He always had good horses. He had that great horse Gilly. That man, I don't know. They were tough. They were hard to beat.
Yeah.
But it all started. The first one I remember up there was King Merritt. He was the world's champion.
Yeah, that's another one I
Yeah,
think of
yeah.
when I think about Wyoming too.
And
The Merritt clan. for
his
sure.
his son-in-law was John Dalton. Did you ever know him, Troy?
Yeah, I know John. I know John pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Who was John Jimbo?
he was King Merritt's son-in-law. He was married to Ramona Merritt, and he was a real good all-around hand. He won the Pendleton all-around twice. I think he's in the Hall of Fame up there. He was a steer roper, calf roper, and a bulldogger. Probably best known for his steer rope. Made the finals several times in steer roping, but a really good hand, for sure.
If there was a Hall of Fame for drinking Pendleton whiskey up there,
You're in it.
now I would have failed to get in because I'm not that good of a whiskey
Oh,
drinker, but I
okay.
tried to get in it a couple
Okay.
times.
Well,
Jimbo.
you tried.
Lee Eisenberger's another guy that's done more for steer roping than anybody I can think of up in this country.
Oh, he's a great guy. And when you
Yeah.
think about when I think about Wyoming steer ropers, he's right there with everybody.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
get
for
a big
sure.
old smile on my face every time I think about that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
He's the best. Great
You
guy.
don't know him, Jimbo.
No.
You need to know him. You need to call up there and talk to him.
He hosted my uncle's the Andy Tillard Memorial, my uncle Andy's memorial for 30 years. And before that, I think he had his dad's memorial maybe for 10 or 15 years. And about as
Still
long.
having the Andy Tillard up there.
What's that, Cody?
You guys still having the Andy Tillard Memorial?
Oh, at 30 years, Lee hung it up and called it enough. So we celebrated that a long time though. I wrote my first steer at the Andy Tillard Memorial for money there when I was 14 years old. So yeah, that was the first place I ever entered roping steers.
Who was Andy Tillard?
So Andy was my dad Tim's oldest brother. Yep. Ty's dad, my cousin Ty. Andy's his dad.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
that. Boy, that's
Yeah.
a heck of a roping they had up there, Jimbo. Troy can tell you more about it, but they had a strict dress code to even be able to enter it. And I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, you had to wear a white shirt.
Yeah,
Here.
that was the rule.
Solid white.
Everybody had to have a white shirt to rope there. For
Have a white shirt and couldn't rope.
that's all my Uncle Andy ever wore was a clean white shirt. So that was a pretty neat deal, I thought.
And then I think they held it every 4th of July. And the winner, I think there was a tradition for the winner. They'd throw in this great big mining tire that they made into a water tank. And it was a cold booger. They didn't throw me in it because I didn't win it, but they threw Ralphie in it. And it had a metal, it had the steel belt all the way around it. And he was picking out steel belt splinters out of his arm for about 3 months after that. But anyway, that's quite the roping. It's right there with the Ben Johnson and everything for those guys up there where it was.
Yeah, exactly.
Quite the roping. Heck of a good time. Lee Berger threw a great big party afterwards where they cooked all that lamb and some other stuff. Luckily, they never acquired that taste for lamb yet, but maybe one day. Maybe one.
Well,
I hadn't had it cooked right or something.
Yeah, I think that's something you dinks better know how to cook that.
Did you ever win roping?
I won it 1 year. I won it in 2002. Yep. Yeah. After that, it seemed like it just had a jinx on me. I don't know. I had a lot of opportunities, but you know how that goes.
Oh yeah.
You 2004, you won the Daddy of them all. What that had to be something, hometown. I mean, a home state. What was that?
Yeah, that was just as good as it ever will get for me. I think as a kid, we'd go to a few of those we'd go to Janie Harris's big roping and Lee Berger's roping and we'd go to Cheyenne. And it was just pinnacle for me. And then, every year we'd go there and spend a week. But yeah, when I won that, I was pretty tickled. That was a pretty neat deal.
Well, you had to be a rock star up around Wyoming then.
I don't know. I don't think I was, but I sure thought I was.
I bet you were.
I remember him winning it. I was very happy for him that day.
I wonder how many Wyoming guys have actually won the steer roping up there. You have any idea?
More than you think.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Yeah.
I guess I would have no idea how many, but
But probably several,
Heck, the CEO of the Cheyenne Frontier Days, he won the steer roping there.
Yeah, Tommy Hersick won it.
Yeah.
Marty won it. I won it. My dad won the senior. Ori Taten's not from Wyoming, but we claim him. I'm sure I'm missing some obvious ones, but
I'm guessing King Merritt probably won it, but I don't know that, but I bet he did.
Possibly.
I bet he. Good chance.
Yeah, good chance.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a highlight of my roping. That was great. That was fun.
Yeah, I can't imagine how it could get much better than that for a Wyoming boy to win the Cheyenne Frontier Days.
No, it didn't, and it probably never will. That was just an awesome deal there.
Yeah,
that's fun.
Yeah, that was quite the deal. How long had you been going to Cheyenne, Troy? Ever since you can remember?
As a contestant or just going?
Both.
So I started going to Cheyenne probably before I was old enough to remember. I remember loading up in the van with Dad and Mom and my brother and just being little kids and going there. So I don't know. I'd probably went about it, I would think, every year until I got my card in 98, so I would have entered it then. So that would, when I won it, I guess that'd have been my 6th trip probably.
What makes Cheyenne so special to you compared to a lot of other rodeos?
Oh, just that tradition, because as a kid going there, you saw all these great ropers, and it was probably about the only time I, saw those big names, and so I just watched them and I don't know, it was built up pretty big in my mind, and it's I'm guessing it's built up like that in a bunch of guys' mind, but it was a big deal to me.
it's just a special place, it's just a mystique to it, and not to mention the 30-foot score, and in the mud a lot of the time, just the whole deal. It's just special,
There's a whole lot of intangibles that can happen in Cheyenne.
For sure. That left-hand fence and just everything,
Yeah, it's just neat, and when you walk in there, you can feel that history on you.
It's hallowed ground for sure.
Yep.
It is. Did you ever go to the carnival there growing up?
Oh yeah, yeah. We'd go to the carnival. Every year, we'd talk Dad in letting us get over there. We did about everything you could around the parts, I think, Cody.
Gosh dang, I got in so much trouble around there, Jimbo, growing up.
Really, I can't imagine.
Oh yeah. I specifically remember one time going to the carnival. My dad was up during a performance or something, but he was up somewhere else that night. But
And then he couldn't find you when you need to leave.
couldn't find me when they needed to leave.
Yeah.
It was and I heard about it all the way there. Well, we got there just in time to see their two steers go trotting down the arena.
Then you heard about it again.
Really heard about it.
Well, I was really mad because they never stopped and let me take leak the whole way through there because, I mean, especially when they turned them out anyway.
Right.
That was a rough trip from Cheyenne to where we were going to Kansas that night. I forget where we were going.
Oh man.
I think my brain's blocked it out.
Yeah. Do you have I guess you have a rope arena right there on the ranch somewhere, Troy?
Yep. We got the arena that I grew up in roping is still the arena there at the main ranch, and I think it's 650 feet long, probably 300 feet wide. It's a great big arena.
He
That's
practices
nice.
for Cheyenne every day. It sounds.
Yeah,
like.
he's shining every. But that's really nice to have the arena for training horses and
It is.
tracking cattle. And so many horses aren't really broke, and steer moves the right. If they don't rope them right quick, they're lost. And stuff. But when you got an arena like that, you can track them and follow them to the back in if you need to.
It is, but then later I find they over here at the ranch Heidi and I live at, we built a little smaller arena, where you had to get out and get it on there, and
Yeah.
and I think that helped. But when I was a kid, if you roped at him before halfway, Grandpa would probably say something to you because you were
Different deal back then, wasn't it?
Yep, it was.
What would have been a typical practice session for you guys back then?
Just 2 hours of just roping. I mean,
A lot of breakaway or
lots of breakaway. We always did that. Dad always said a steer horse only has so many runs in them, and so we breakawayed a lot. Dad always made good horses. He would always. I'm talking when I was a kid, younger, before I even tripped one. But he would be out driving horses and logging them, and he'd tie a couple down. But us kids, we just break away and break away and break away and bring them back. Take 30 minutes to bring the steers back. We didn't have a return alley, and it was a big old arena. And yeah,
It was like pinning them out of a pasture.
yeah, it was. And then if you lost them, well, hell, you're back to the backside pretty quick.
you should have had some good sheepdogs though. You don't?
We do. Dad always had some good sheepdogs, and now my brother, he's really TK. He's got him a really, really good dog and a good pup, and then he's got another dog that's really good. He's really good with them. But yeah, we'd have us a dog or two. We'd always have some dogs to help us.
Right. Did you lay a steer down quite often, practice tying, or?
Yep. Yeah, we did that a lot. I tied a lot of steers before I ever tripped one. We'd lay one down and tie. I'm not gonna say every day, but quite.
Right.
Yep.
It pays
I know
off.
more of that. Yeah.
You know who else? Another great steer roper from Wyoming? Jason Evans. God, that guy good.
Yeah, there's been a bunch of them from
Yeah.
out there.
Been a
You
bunch.
can't forget J.R. Olson either.
Holy moly! I about did, but you
Yeah.
can't forget him. Gosh, that guy.
Yeah,
he
we're
made the
probably
final
forgetting
seven
somebody
times.
obvious. And
Yeah, I'm sure we are. Yeah, J.R. was, man, he was handy there for a long time.
It's definitely cowboy country.
They have some other ropings up there. Don King Days roping. It's way different. I've never even been to it. I've just heard about it,
yeah, that's
Jimbo.
with me.
It's kind of a mystique to a bunch of steer ropers. A lot of us has never been to it from down here. So
Yeah, and you
tell
need
us a little bit about who Don King was and what that roping is, Troy.
Well, Don King, there, Bruce's dad from King Saddlery, and that roping was started, I think, in about 1990. They, I don't know, it was that same group of guys, my dad Dave Bliss and Glenn Barlow, and I'm sure I don't know half of them, but they all got together with Kings, and how exactly they pulled that off, I don't know, but that's the prettiest polo field you ever saw. And hell, I don't know how many acres it is, but it's as far as you can see, just green, pretty grass. And they come out and with panels, they build four holding pins with an alley with the elbow in it, and the box sits there. And so they'll work one steer out in the back of that alley, and then you'll get in the box and tell them to bring it. And nowadays they have kids that they auction off for Calcutta, and they give each one of them 5 ropers. But anyway, they'll come back and bring it, and it's a hand pulled barrier, and the barrier length has varied probably from 20 foot to, I know one year Harold had it out there at 40 foot, and yeah, and then you just go get them. It's probably the funnest place I ever roped.
And that's right there on the polo field.
Yeah, it's right on the grass. Yeah, no fences. Down the left side, the spectators kind of line that. They got a clubhouse down there, and kind of people's vehicles down the right side. I can't remember, somebody's horse ran off with the steer, and right when that got into those pickups, Bobby Harris come from nowhere and reached out and grabbed him by 2 feet and stopped the whole thing. But that'd have been quite a wreck. But yeah.
I can't imagine a polo field in Wyoming. That just doesn't sound like polo country to me.
Well, it dang sure is right up there,
Yeah.
Jimbo. It's some of the most beautiful polo country in
Who
the
who
world.
plays polo up there, Troy? I mean,
Well,
Yeah.
I know their names, but there's some big time polo
they're
players.
not sheep herders and cattle ranchers, are they?
No, it ain't us. Promise.
I think that's where Tommy Wayman lives up there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I had no idea that they even played polo in Wyoming.
Yep. Yeah. There's several other polo fields up there around this one. You'd love it if you came up one year and watched that deal. It's a beautiful country, and it's a neat deal. It's a neat setting. You wouldn't even think you'd find in Wyoming, but it's there. It's neat.
How many PRCA rodeos are there in Wyoming that have steer roping? Just right offhand?
With Wyoming and Colorado, we're down to 7.
Really?
Yep.
When I was a kid, there was Douglas, and seemed like maybe Sheridan, and of course Cheyenne, and Lander. In fact, the belt buckle I wear that I wore for 60 years probably, my grandpa won in Lander, Wyoming, 1956.
Did he really? That's awful neat. They when I was a kid, Riverton had a steer open.
Lusk had it, I know.
Warrington, Wheatland.
Yeah, we.
They don't even have a rodeo there and all those. Riverton does, but they and we've asked and tried to get back in there, and we just don't have much luck.
I
So
went to a big jackpot in Gillette one time. No, I wasn't roping, but I was with my Uncle Joe, and it was a pretty good roping.
there's been
Anything there?
that not anymore. I bet forever there was 2 rodeos. There was the winter rodeo and the summer rodeo there in Gillette.
Mhm.
One year I was pretty young, and they were getting that rodeo together for Gillette, and they were short steers. And I don't know the story, but they called around and I said, I have 2 steers. They're out in the hills. And I saddled up, and it was snowy and cold and blowy. And I went out there and I roped and loaded them steers. And anyway, whenever we went to the rodeo the next week, I drawed one in the first round. I won down. I drawed the second one in the second round, won both rounds on the average of my own steers.
That's some home cooking there, I think.
Well, the bull
Yeah.
riders get to pick their own bulls now in
Yeah,
the
there you
PBR.
go.
So why can't you bring
Yeah.
your own steers?
Right.
That's all. Could you imagine how dirty fast this steer opening get if you could bring your own steers?
Oh, good golly. Yeah, no, I'd just soon try to outdraw them than
Right.
do that.
Wyoming historically was always known, and the whole area up there is roping bigger, tougher steers. And why did you guys do that for so long up there, Troy? I thought
Yeah,
kind of even the odds, or you guys just liked it a little better. But now I don't think they do rope the bigger, tougher steers. I think that they're just the same size as they are down here.
I don't know exactly why that was. You know, Tom Teague, good friend of mine, but down there in Colorado had them steers forever. And jackpots, it didn't matter what you did. They were big and tough and strong. They'd wear you out. You know, you get guys like Will McBride come in there and Harold Bumgardner, you know, they're professionals at tying those big old tough steers down. You know, they'd run them down there and drag them 100 yards. They'd tie them down. But I don't have anything against roping those steers, but you know, I like roping the better steers better. You know,
It's better watching too.
I think it's better watching. It's better. It's easier on the steers. I think it's just a better competition. Coy Thompson does most. Ted and Coy Thompson, you know, do all the steers around here now, and they just do a phenomenal job. We rope outstanding steers.
I agree. I think Troy Thompson, from what I've seen the last few years, probably puts the best set of steers together as anybody. You know,
Yep,
even
he does as good as anybody, and
kind of some good horn, kind of some good frame on them, just some stuff you'd like to rope, really.
Yep, yeah, he does a great job. Yeah,
He sent us down here at the Ben Johnson a couple years ago. Man, it was a good set of steers that year.
Oh, did he? Yep. Yeah, we rope our jackpot steers and our Wyoming Association have been, man, they've been better than they ever have for the last 10 years, probably around 10 years since he's been doing it.
Tell us about the Wyoming Association. What's that all about?
Well, it's just the Wyoming Steer Roping Association, and my granddad was one of the founders of that, and I wish I had those sheets I could read off the other names, but they started it, I think, in about 56 or 7 in that time, and just built that association up just for guys to rope at up here. You know, I always kind of looked at it as a place to kind of get ready for when the big guns come to town. You know, used to be I'd go to those jackpots till the end of probably the end of June, and then Sheridan and them roll around, and then go try to butt heads with Cody and them guys, and then we'd go back and have our finals, and that'd be the year. So.
And it's also like our club down here, I believe, Jimbo, where
Right.
it's a great place for someone just to get started,
Right.
get your feet wet, learn how to rope steers, you know,
Mhm.
before you take that next step up. Are there more than one division in it, or do they do like a
Yeah.
off thing, or how do they do it, Troy? Or do you?
There, now when I was a kid and starting, there wasn't. It was a flat deal, but now we tried the division, the tiers, and just maybe didn't have enough people. So now they've got a number system on that.
Gotcha.
So it's really good. It's a great place for people to come, you know, kind of learn and get their feet wet. Hopefully, you know, get hooked and be lifelong members.
Trey Sheets, that's another Wyoming guy. He won Cheyenne Frontier Days.
Yep. Jay Pixley, he did too.
Jay Pixley, another one. God, that was good to see Jay Pixley win that.
Yeah, that was neat.
Yeah, that was fun to watch. It's always fun to see a home state guy win that because they really get behind them.
Oh, yeah.
Seems like.
I bet. Did you do any other events, Troy? You cav roped and bulldogged a little bit. Is that right?
Through high school, I calf roped and bulldogged and team roped, and for a couple years in college, I tried to ride some saddle broncs, but I never got I wasn't good enough to even say that I tried, but I entered. So.
What did you do that you need the hip replacement already at your age?
You know, I don't know. I remember in high school, my senior year playing football, I remember that hip hurting me that year, and then it's never really bothered me. And I guess in 2018, I roped steers at Sheridan, and I never really felt anything. And we loaded up, and we got to Casper for Heidi to run that night. And I went to get out of the truck, and I caught myself on the door, but I was going to fall down. My leg wouldn't work. I couldn't move it. And all that. I went in over there. They had that Justin Sports Medicine, you know, trailer, and I went in there, and that guy helped me, and he got me on a steroid pack. I remember I was able to rope at Cheyenne, and that kind of fixed my hip for a little bit, but then it's just bothered me ever since. And so then I had it injected with MSK Guide down there in 19, And in 20, it felt great. I was good. And then sometime in this last year, probably last spring, I think one of those, a bone spur come off, and it got in that joint. And when that would catch, boy, it was all you could take. So
Time to
So,
work.
yeah, I've been dealing with it for a while. So I'm exactly 2 weeks out from my hip replacements and feel really good right now. So I'm pretty excited.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
What time of year is that rodeo at Sheridan? I forget. Is it end of July? 1st of July?
Oh,
Around
like
the 1st of July.
lay out the 10th of July or something. Yep.
Boy, it's a cool rodeo. You ever been up there, Jimbo?
Yeah. I have.
Did you watch the Indian relay races up there? The World Championships?
It was so long ago, Cody. I don't remember if they even had them then. You think they had them then?
I don't
This
know.
would have been back in the 60s.
I don't know, but I doubt it. I don't think they did that. Seems like when I was a kid, Sheridan seemed like it was a one header and kind of a small little rodeo. And boy, that committee they have there right now is second to none. They've built that thing up. Yeah, it's a great place. And then Cody, Wyoming. Did you know Cody?
Well, I haven't been up there to the steer open yet, but I heard they added it. So tell us about it.
Yeah, so they Ben Williams is the chairman of their rodeo committee, and he him and Colt Brugman, and I don't know, maybe I want to think Brent Lewis had something to do with it, but they got it in there, and it's been good. I hope they keep us, because it's a great rodeo. They made it a 3-header. It's a big old arena. They strapped it out to 1 over maybe, and a deep box. It was fun. It kind of reminded me of roping at Pecos.
Do they do it a 1-header like all the other events?
No, they didn't. The first year it was a 2-header, and then last year it was a 3-header, and that made it really nice. Yep.
I always preferred the more steer you get a run at a rodeo, the better off. I liked it. What do you like? Do you like the 2-headers better, or do you like the 3+?
No, I'm with you on that deal. I like the 3+ deal. That seems kind of been always what kind of maybe fit me better, or maybe it's just my mentality, but that's what I always like.
If I was driving there, I'd rather run another steer anyway.
That's what I figured.
You're already there. I don't know.
You're already there. Why not? Yeah.
That's for sure.
What was your finals experience like, Troy? You went there 5 times, I think.
Yeah. So my first finals experience was in 04, and I'd never went and rodeoed. That year I went to Sheridan and was my first rodeo, and I got a little check there. I think I won $900 there at Sheridan, and then went up to Cheyenne and I won a little over 17,000. And after 2 rodeos, I don't remember now, but I would say I was pretty good in the top 15, and went to Dodge. I think I was entered in Dodge City. I don't think I must have won anything. And then I went to Gillette and I won it, and kind of sealed my deal. So when I got to the finals, I'm sitting there with guys that are my idols, and I don't even know them really. There's T Woolman and Rocky and Buster and Marty Jones, and I don't know. You could go down the list, and I almost walked in there that first day. I was kind of just in awe, And I had a really good horse, and Dad had drove me up to Gillette about 4 days before we left to go down to the finals, and backing him out of the trailer, it started snowing, and he popped his hind foot out there and pulled a suspensory in his hind leg. So I went there on a 5-year-old that we'd had like 3 rodeos, and that horse worked great. And I did. And I tell you, I remember though that the 2 guys there that come out of their way and come up to me was Marty Jones and Rocky Patterson. And they kind of got me, back on the ground, and I didn't have a very good finals. I finally did get a check. Back then they only paid 4 places in those rounds, and that was tough. And
now I think they get like $5,000 or $10,000 just to show up, Jimbo. So
yeah. And then I guess Jimbo, when for like 14 through 17, when I went, then I'd been rodeoing and rodeoed hard and knew everybody, and kind of knew right where I fit in. And I never had the finals, I guess, that I wanted, but I was always ready to win there, and I dang sure won enough or won some. It was,
They knew you was there anyway.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You knew
Yeah.
about everywhere you went, his energy knew he's there. This guy
Right.
right here, money taking son of a gun
Yep.
from up there. We didn't like it. We didn't like it down here somewhere. I'm just kidding. No, we was glad to see him every time he came
Right,
down.
Right.
They did take their ranching real serious up there. I mean, a lot of times he'd be sitting real good in the standings, and I'd look around and I'd see him somewhere on down the road and say, "Where the heck were you, Troy?" He said, "Well, we had to go home and I think shear sheep, if I'm not wrong, or gather sheep or something."
Yeah, Sharon always falls over a busy time. We're real busy in the spring and in the fall. And, when you run sheep, the sheep shearers kind of run you, because when you can ever get that crew from New Zealand in, you can't barter with them on the dates. It is when it is.
Oh, what the heck?
They come all the way from New Zealand to do it.
Yep. Yeah, they do. And there's a guy, a real good friend of ours, Dave Foley, up here and he's from New Zealand, but he lives there in KC. And he's got a shearing outfit, and he brings the guys over. And yeah, they're amazing. You'll get a 10-man crew out there, and they'll shear 2,000 sheep in a day. And it's the dangest thing you ever see.
I've seen it on TV. It's just amazing the way they
Yeah.
lay them down and just shear them. It just comes off in one piece, kind of, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Troy?
that is wild how they do
Yeah.
that.
It is one piece, and if you ever put a stopwatch on them, a minute and a half, it's off. It's crazy.
He mentioned KC, Wyoming there. That's quite the cowboy town, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
From there.
Yeah. That's
Listen,
another place we always roped steers that we don't anymore. They don't have a rodeo there either. But that's a neat place.
I got in my first bar fight there, Jimbo.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Chipped a tooth.
Yeah. What the other guy look like?
He come out looking like a roast. He looked real good. No, it was kind of a wild deal. They had a cowboy bar and a biker bar
That's a good combination.
right next door to each other.
Right.
Yeah,
What
with
could
the-
go wrong there?
Well, I think it was the cowboy bar that got mad at me and beat me up. Most of the bikers are pretty nice guys, it seemed like.
Yeah.
That's back when the KC rodeo, everybody'd come to KC and then on out to Pendleton, wasn't it?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that was pretty neat.
Yeah, there's a handful of us. I got one there.
You do a lot of hunting up there, Troy?
Coyotes. I do hunt a lot of coyotes. I've hunted everything and guided hunters and took a lot of hunters, and I guess I don't hunt any big game for myself anymore. I enjoyed it, but then after just guiding that many guys and going out and doing it, I don't know. I guess I don't do a lot of hunting, no, Jimbo.
Pretty good mule deer up there?
Yeah, they used to be outstanding mule deer, and I think the numbers are coming back. We've had some, I think they call it blue tongue disease, came through maybe 10 or 12 years ago.
Yep.
And was pretty hard on the mule deer populations, but they're slowly coming back. When I was in high school, though, the mule deer out there on the ranch would look like those calendars you see. I mean, it was really neat. I miss seeing those.
Right. I think the mule deer numbers are kind of down all over, from what I understand, especially the trophy type bucks, and stuff. Idaho and places like that. And they blame it on the wolves and different things. Even the elk, the elk seem like have kind of moved into a lot of the mule deer range and probably hurting the mule deer populations a little bit, maybe.
I think so. And I think four-wheelers have a lot to do with it. It used to be you had to get out there and really work. And now all them hunters go up with a four-wheeler and they can buzz a lot more country pretty quick. But
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a little everything.
Do y'all got a helicopter like they have on Yellowstone?
No, we don't. There are no helicopters. We don't have airplanes, helicopters, nothing like that.
You know who he mentioned a while ago? Brugmans. That's another guy I think about when I think about Wyoming. That Paul Brugman. He was a steer roper.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, it's ropey country.
I know there was a lot of good ropers come from there. What's the biggest difference in the ropings up in Wyoming and then when you came down here? and went to a lot of ropings, when the last couple times you made the finals that you normally didn't even hit because you guys were so busy up there. They must have let you off on the shearing duty there for
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I really like going to the Ben Johnson, and I really like going to the Roping Fiesta. When I went to those two, it's kind of like going to Cheyenne. You feel all that history there, that them old arenas that haven't been touched, and so I guess that deep history is what I liked about them the most. Um, and the fans, when I went to both of those ropings, those stands were packed. I remember at the Ben Johnson, it was just, we had drove all night to get there. And that night though, there was such a party going on. I think it was Ralph Wilson driving, probably maybe your car had big old horns on the front.
Yeah. Shoot, I don't know.
Around, but yeah, I guess it was, I don't know if there's a difference, but just just going somewhere new and seeing your guys' history and all that, I really like that.
What do you think about roping like at Pecos compared to Cheyenne and things like that?
So when I went to Pecos, to me, it was a lot like roping at Cheyenne. I mean, that first year I went there, I was, I thought that was
sitting near as close as it is at Cheyenne. That's really the only difference.
Exactly, but it's kind of the same thing. Pecos, Pendleton, Cheyenne, those were probably, when I was a kid growing up, those were the rodeos that I thought were just the best rodeos out there. And so roping there, I thought that I really liked that.
Well, if you're a steer roper, that's the three you think about. That's the three you want to win. That's the three.
Yeah, it is. Isn't it?
That's the big three in my mind. I'm not sure as far as rodeos, and then jackpots, you can get your big three, depends on which region you're from, probably.
Exactly. That was the big three in my mind too. So yeah, that I really liked roping down there. All right, I was roping down there one time and my sunglasses melted and were running down my face. So that was good for me, but I won Pecos in 2013, and it was damn near the same feeling as when I won Cheyenne. It meant a lot to me. So,
have you won Pendleton?
Nope. No.
You gotta get that hip well, get that Pendleton buckle on you.
Yeah, I had plenty of opportunities. I just couldn't pull it off. Couldn't beat them guys. But
I think I read somewhere where your grandfather, Bud, might have won second at Pendleton one time.
I think so. Yeah, he did. I can't remember, Jimbo, what year that was, but
yeah. I think he did.
I think that sounds right.
Yeah.
I think my dad.
Did you meet your wife at Pendleton?
Yeah. I met Heidi. At Pendleton. We met there, and man, we didn't even see each other for a year and a half, and we just became friends, and then yeah, the rest is history.
He really wanted to be friends, didn't he?
Yeah, sound like it.
Yeah,
pretty good friends now. Gosh,
dang, that Pendleton, it's something else. What do you like about Pendleton? And can you explain it for some people that ain't been there?
What I like about, I mean, it's just different, I love how the steers come from underneath and run down there on that track. And then you go out and you rope on the grass like Don King days, but it just happens quicker. And then it's just such a good time. I mean, you got the letter buck room, and it just, I don't know, you can't duplicate Pendleton.
And it hasn't changed a whole lot either, has it?
And not since I went, and I don't think it's changed a whole lot for 100 years, really.
It didn't used to have grass. It hadn't always been grass.
Oh, wasn't it? I didn't know that.
No. And I don't know what year that it went in, but in the 40s, it was not grass.
I didn't know.
Your Ben Johnson calf roping, that's on dirt.
Well, I just thought it was maybe they chopped that dirt up so much.
No, the grass came later, and I'm not sure what year.
Hey, I got to take the rodeo historian's word on that one, because I don't know.
Yeah, that's just another one of those places that it's just neat.
Yeah, that's definitely hollow ground right there.
For sure.
Yeah.
you know, you ride out of the back of the arena when you get done roping. You see a drunk guy stumbling around over there, and then you look over there and you see an awesome Indian encampment, and then you take your horse back to the trailer, you unsaddle him, and I'll be dang, they feed your horse for you up there, give you free alfalfa or Timothy hay for your horse. I mean, they just really treat you good up there.
They do. It's
I never been in that letter buck room you were talking about, but I heard that place is really something else too.
I know you've been there.
Never been there.
I'm not sure on the years, but my dad's entered that or competed in that rodeo for maybe 43 or 44 years in a row. He never missed a year. He loved it that much.
So what is that letter buck room? Because I don't know. I've never been there. Jimbo's never been there.
I've been there. Yeah, the letter buck room. They just serve whiskey, straight whiskey, nothing else. So you go in and buy your chips and.
Oh yeah, I have been there, Jimbo. I just don't remember.
Bringing back memories now.
Yes, yeah. I don't remember it, but
them whiskey sneak up on you too, won't they? Right there.
Yeah, I thought it was midnight when I was walking out of there, like noon or something like that.
Right.
Yeah,
I was 12 hours off.
Oh, good God.
It was a bad ordeal, Jimbo. I have to tell you about it one of these days. It's embarrassing, or I'd tell everyone
I'm
about
surprised you can remember it.
Barely. Barely. That's how bad it was. You just had to
you're gonna have to break back out and go back up there, Cody.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I want to go back out there. It's a great place to go.
It is, isn't it?
But you know, since I've quit roping, I've done a lot of things around here, so had a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun right here in Pulaski.
You guys have rebuilt the town. It looks like a neat deal. I can't wait to get down there and see it all.
Yeah, we can't wait for you to get down here either. Are you planning on cracking back out? You got a good horse coming along?
Yeah, I've got a good horse. He's got some age on him. And I don't know. I'm just curious to see. I'm going to rope. I qualified for Torrington, so that's in the end of April. I'm going to crack back out there and just see how I feel and see where my hip is. You know, last year I just couldn't do it. I couldn't move, so I'm going to have to get over that and learn that I can do it again and see. But I don't really plan on ever just loading up and going to all of them again, nothing like that. But I like to go to those good rodeos and see what happens, you know.
Shoot, yeah, I think he'll come out sitting pretty good, I imagine, if he enters them.
Right.
That's the only thing, getting him to enter them all the way from up there.
Right. Sheep got to be sheared.
You ever heard such a thing coming out of a rodeo Cowboys now? Got to leave the rodeo, go shear the sheep. But that's the reason he can afford to go rodeo probably. So
Troy, if you're putting together a Mount Rushmore of Wyoming ropers, who would you put on it?
Oh, okay.
you threw him for a loop, Jimbo.
I know he was probably ready for I threw that Wyoming in there.
Yeah, you're right. I'd done my homework and I thought I was ready. Now I'm not. Well, for sure, to me, Glenn Barlow has to go right up there. Bobby Harris has to go right there. Oh, geez. That's tough. You know, we named a lot of those guys. J.R. Olson would go on my list for sure. And I don't know. I'm sure there's some old timers there that I just didn't get to watch rope enough.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many you could put on there from up there.
Oh,
Yeah. So,
what about your regular route, Mount Rushmore, if you get to pick any steer roper?
Yeah, so I thought about that. That's pretty tough too. So if that was my question, I would have said the ones that I've roped against. And to me, that's Guy Allen, Trevor.
No brainer.
Rocky and Snedeker are the best 4 steer ropers I feel like I've roped against. And that, you know, there's other ones too. When Cody Lee, to me, is one of the best ropers out there. Helped me more than anybody. He could go on that list. Chet Herron.
Chet rope's good. Ties
He does.
fastest hands.
Yep.
Or he was.
There's a lot. I always like listening to your podcast and listening to those answers, and I just don't know if you can sum it all up.
You can. It's hard.
It is hard. Yeah.
Who were your biggest influences on steer roping, on your style that you have now and
Well,
everything? Because he swapped his style up a couple times through the year, and he really started getting our money big time, there for a few
yes, for sure. Growing up, my dad was. He's probably had more influence than anybody on me, and then I think it was in about 2010. I went down and I went to a roping school, Trevor Brazil's, and then the very next year, Rocky come to the ranch and did a roping school for me and my brother and my cousins, and probably those two guys. Guy Allen in 2002 come to the ranch and roped with us, and I learned a lot. I just wasn't quite ready to learn all that. I don't think I wasn't far enough along. And yeah, so I'd probably say, Trevor, probably Rocky more than anybody. Cody Lee, I spent a lot of time at his house and roped with Cody, and his dad a lot, so yeah, I don't think I'd have got where I got and did what I did without the help of those three for sure.
What about your equipment? What equipment are you using? Your ropes, saddle?
Yeah, so the saddle I'm using now is a Jim Stoney saddle from, he's from Pendleton and he lives
I
down.
know Stoney. Yeah, I know him. He's a good dude.
Yeah, and I always wanted one. I finally got him to make me one, and I tell you, it's when my hip went to hurting, and he makes that tree that he can make a narrow seat in there, and that made a big difference for me. My ropes are King ropes. I like them 4 strands. Not a lot of guys use them, but that's my go-to. And yeah.
What about your boys? Or how many are you got, all boys or girls? I don't even know. How
We have
friends
two
with
boys.
y'all on Facebook, but
Yeah. Ryder's 17 and Talon, my youngest son's 12. Yeah, Ryder's a good golfer. He's big into golf. He ropes with me a lot. He ropes good at home. I think he'll get the bug. He might trip some steers this summer. And the other events besides steer open just never, like, we'll head and heel quite a bit, but that's not,
it's
I guess
preparation to steer rope probably.
I think so. Yeah. And then Talon, he's all about it. It won't be long and he'll be after him.
Those few guys that he studied under, they all got different techniques, but every one of them's flawless techniques, especially Rocky Patterson. He's quite the roper.
Well, yeah.
He'd be on my Mount Rushmore of just steer ropers, probably. He's a heck of a roper.
Yep.
Yeah, I got to go to Rockies and rope there several times, and him and John Miller, and man, those are just, you can't soak it all in. You can't learn that much that fast that you wish you had it on video. But yeah, it's amazing that guy was really good to me, and John Miller. I just love being around him. He was the same way. He's so knowledgeable.
What about shoot? I forgot what the heck I was going to ask him, Jimbo. It was a good one too.
But it was.
But anyway, you got anything else for him?
Well, just thank him and hope that hip goes ahead and heals like it's supposed to, and you'll be tripping steers before you know it. And maybe you come down and see us sometime. Maybe come down to Ben Johnson.
I'd love to get back down there and rope, but I'm hoping this hip does it. I went to physical therapy today, and they said I'm way ahead of where I should be, and I go back up and see my surgeon Friday. So here in a couple of days. So,
what about your wife Heidi's year? How's it looking? She got a good barrel horse coming on.
She
watching the NFR right now.
Yeah. We've been watching the NFR. She's got a good horse. She got Solo, and they went to the circuit finals this year, and he got a year ago. He something in the some kind of blood poisoning or something, and we thought we were going to lose him, and so she come back late, and they come back strong, and they're getting ready to go to Denver here pretty quick, and she's doing good. She's got a young horse that she's been bringing along, so she's doing good. She is doing good.
Well, let's hope we're watching another Tillard at the National Finals, just in another event next year, Jimbo.
Somebody else to pull for.
Yeah, she's quite the barrel racer.
Yep.
We keep up with her.
Yep.
Well, all right, Troy. We sure appreciate you coming on today.
Hey guys, I really enjoyed it.
Want any shout outs for anybody before we get off here?
You know, I hope we covered them all, but I'm sure we did. I'm sure I missed somebody, but I really appreciate it, guys.
We appreciate having you.
How many of y'all Tillards are in the rope practice pen sometimes? It must be like 30 minutes between steers you get a breakaway. There's so many of us.
You know, we're all kind of split up now, you know, but when I was a kid, there'd be my dad, my uncle, and there'd be 4 or 5 of us kids, grandpa. So there'd be a bunch of us.
Well, tell everybody up there we said hi.
I will, Cody. You tell your family hello too. Tell your dad I hadn't seen Rocky in a long time.
All right, man.
See you, Troy.
All
See you
right.
guys.
Bet.
Well, that's been a good one, Jimbo.
Oh, real good one.
All right. Until next week, everybody. This has been another edition of the Cowboys of the Osage. One of my favorite. This has been a great one.
Yeah.
Old stories like long lost friends, rodeos and late night bends, history before our time, round pens and pasture rides, Cowboys of the Osage.